Today, you're in for a bit of a treat because you're going to have Alan Tarr, the original madman, talking to you about copywriting and how people can make an actually wonderful living doing that. But first, you got to meet him. And here he comes, Alan Tarr. Hello, my name is Phil Mershon with Return on Initiative. And this afternoon, this evening, this morning, as it may be, I am happy, very happy, in fact, to tell you that sitting across from me in a different land is my friend, Alan Tarr, master copywriter, madman extraordinaire, and a guy who's going to talk to us today about copywriting. And I would like to maybe, Alan's been with us once before. And one of the things that you talked about, Alan, that intrigued me, and I'm pretty sure other people, was you did some time, as it were, as a what we'd like to talk about as a madman. Can you
No,
can you elaborate on that before I dig myself into a hole?
I don't want to give everybody a wrong impression here, Phil. I'll explain the madman bit, and then they can draw their own inferences.
Yeah.
If anybody's ever seen the show Mad Men on AMC, it ran about 6-7 years. Very popular show, but it was about the advertising industry, the advertising agencies on Madison Avenue in New York, post-World War II, and how, well, this one guy, but truthfully, how the industry itself evolved and changed in that time of the 50s and the 60s and the early 70s. And they used as an inspiration four of the leaders of the top four firms. David Ogilvy of Ogilvy and Mather, Ray Rubicam of Young and Rubicam, Bill Bernbach of Doyle Dane Bernbach, and finally Rosser Reeves of Ted Bates International. These madmen, if you will, three of whom I worked for, had a collective set of knowledge that was incredible to a person getting into the industry at that time that I was. I got in probably at the tail end of it as an intern, and a paid intern. And I spent 4 years with that company. And one of the things I was told by my boss, he would always come over to me after I finished writing some copy, and he'd say, I'd say, "What do you think?" He said, "No, what do you think?" He says, "Alan, I want you to tell me, what would Chairman Reeves say about it?" So he made me look at my copy through the eyes of the doyen, if you will, of the company. And you learn so much with that kind of an exercise. So after the 4 years there, and taking a year off to go to Europe and bum around, I came back and did freelance for Ogilvy and Bernbach and Bates, and one other. But
now, just the fact that you know who those four firms were, and who was who in those companies is impressive in and of itself. But you were freelancing for these?
When I came back from my extended holiday
Yeah.
a year, I went to freelancing because it was a little bit more um, free. It gives you more freedom than working for as a house writer, where you had to be there physically. When you were a freelancer, you did not have to be there physically. And that was very important. It was a little more difficult in those days because I lived about 40 miles away from Manhattan, and they would have to courier. They would have to send things by courier. There was no FedEx. There was no fax. I didn't have one anyway.
Could you hop on a Zoom?
A year or two. So
Were you able to like? So telecommuting was not on the table.
pardon me.
Telecommuting was not an option.
How do you telecommute when you don't have a computer?
Right.
All right. We wrote on yellow pads, on legal pads, and we sat around a table and BS all the words and try to come up with something as a team. Then you had to go into the other office of the basement, which was the other part of the art, the creative department, which was the artists. And then you had to tell them what they need to draw, what they need to photograph or something to get the idea that we're trying to put across. So we worked together, and this was a lengthy process. In the show, it took 4 or 5 hours. I mean, they do it right away. And it's just not, that was not the way it was, but they had to do that for TV, I suppose. But it was a challenge, but we learned. We learned about the industry. We learned about businesses, how businesses operate. And we even went out on some calls with some of our consulting people to see how a business ran, to see if we could make it better, or if they could make it better. We were just observers, pretty much.
Well, that must have been a very exciting time. Now, what decade are we talking about here? 70s? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This was, when you look at some of the old newspaper ads and magazine ads and television commercials from that period of time, you're just struck by how bold and strong a lot of that copy really was, and how it got to the point very, very quickly. You didn't have infomercials, that where people could go on and get to the point eventually. I mean, it was just amazing how spot on and instant the messages were.
It had to be, because time and space were at a premium. They cost money. And today, I think what happens is, since posting on the internet is virtually free, people don't notice what they write, because they write another thing in 2 more hours, in 3 more hours, they write something else and something else and something else. Ours had to be there for months. We bought a contract for TV time, we bought a contract for radio time, and we bought certain issues of magazines. That's how it worked. So you had to have your stuff, as you called it, spot on.
Is it that way now? Is it does it work the same way?
I can say yes and no, which is a dumb answer, but here's the two things. Yes, for the people who do it the old way, but I mean the classic way, who are writing for effect. Those who are writing for personal grandeur and having names known and getting likes and clicks and and followers, they don't have to do that, and they don't do that. They're not actually writers, most of them. So what I'm trying to say is that we talked about the last time, I don't remember if we did, something that I've always done. My first book was the second book, Techniques and Secrets of the World's Best Copywriters. Things that I gleaned in years and years working for them, working with them, and then learning about them even more, and just sopping up everything I could. And today, they don't do it. Just to give you an example, back as far as back as the 70s, there was a great direct mail copywriter called Eugene Schwartz. Nobody's ever heard of him, not people out of the business anyway. But Schwartz said one thing. Well, he said a lot of things, but here's one that sticks in my mind. He said, most advertising is schlock, a New York word meaning garbage, junk, because today's copywriters and CEOs don't read and value the classic books and techniques of advertising and writing, period. It's not a quote, but it's a paraphrase.
Right. And when did he say this? When did he say this?
Well, he was in the late 70s. He worked through the late 70s. He started probably in the 50s. He was older than I, and was just considered the expert on direct mail.
Have things gotten better?
No, because fewer people are actually writing with the fundamentals in mind. When I was in college, I played baseball. And the coach or coaches were always stressing fundamentals. Fundamentals started way back when they started. How to get a ground ball, how to throw it, where to look, how to charge, how to retreat, how to take a short hop, all that stuff. If you go, I go here because I'm right by spring training. In fact, we're going next week to a game, but we like to go to watch their morning workouts because that's what they're working on. Just the fundamentals. They work on the catchers going and getting a bunt and throwing it. They work on double plays. They work on pegging from the outfield to a cutoff man. They work on everything so that it becomes natural and instinctive. Now, they don't in writing. Not enough people do. And what I try to do is what I teach, because I am indeed a teacher as well as a writer. I try to instill in people the idea that the fundamentals will make you a great writer. You are creative, you have it inside you, you have talent, but you must follow the fundamentals and then take your talent and direct it correctly. Now you become you go from a casual writer to a really good writer. And you get effect out of your writing. You get people to do what you want them to do.
One of the things that I love what you just said. One of the things that sort of frosts my flakes personally is how people give away their writing. What I mean is, you were talking about the internet. You'll see every now and again something really magnificent sneaks through and actually lands on Facebook or wherever. And you say to yourself, I can't believe I'm reading this for nothing. And when I see something really brilliant on the internet, I'm almost always outraged because what you have there is an amateur who got lucky, who's now giving it away. And he's giving it away because he's an amateur and he doesn't know what he's worth. And then he ruins it for everybody else. And I think that's almost obscene. You now have my
maybe if you'll indulge me.
Please.
maybe I'll disagree with you a little bit.
All right.
Okay. This is the age that they say content is king. I like to phrase that better as good content is king. Bad content is still garbage. But you take the person who gives it away. I have in my blog, I don't remember, it's 98, 99, 100, 101 articles and videos I give away. You want them, keep them. You want them, read them. It's the job of the expert to give of his expertise or her expertise to people who don't have it. You don't give away the farm. I mean, I do sell copywriting courses after all,
Right.
sell books, but you want to show them what is available and you want to help them along, at least to get them up to reasonable. And if they want to go beyond reasonable, that's where I would come in and help with my books and with my Write Like a Madman University and with my coaching.
We're talking today with Alan Tarr, master copywriter, and Write Like a Madman University. You just mentioned. It sounds like people have easy, inexpensive / free access to a lot of information that you're happy to provide.
Well, yes, a lot, not all.
Right.
All right. I have about 100 and I don't know, 280 to 400 free things.
Okay.
I give
Well,
away.
that would keep a person busy.
I'll give you an example.
Please.
We send out the article of the week. We send out what I call it Twisdom. Twisdom is marketing wisdom in a Twitter-sized bite. So it's a sentence, 2 sentences, maybe 3 sentences tops on one very pointed topic, and we just throw them out there every day, or every other day. Then we give quotes by famous or infamous people in the business that we consider to be germane. We have like 150 Twisdoms, 60 to 80 quotes. We have 60 of my 20-second video tips that come out on the on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, where I just give a quick 20-second statements about one thing, just like a Twisdom, except it's live. So we have all of that, but behind that are decades and decades of writing and bringing the courses together and taking each one of those little tips, all right, and expanding on them so that you know how to do it, as well as that you should do it, and then you know why you're doing it. So that's the idea, and that's what we provide, which costs a little money. So that's how our business runs as a business, but we want to give our expertise away. We really do.
I am convinced, absolutely. So, who, growing up or coming into your own, who was there anyone in particular you emulated, or who you might look back and say this person was a very positive influence on your life?
Yeah, absolutely. The first would be my professor in college who noticed me. I was a drama major. I don't know if I told you this last time.
No.
I was a drama major, and there was some campus-wide competition of skits and songs and stuff, typical college junk. And so my group won. Okay. And he came over to me and says, did you write that? I said, yeah. He says, how much of it? I said, all of it. He said, what's your major? I said, drama. And he said, son, we already have a Paul Newman. You ain't going to be him. Come to my class. Let's talk about writing. What kind of writing? Copywriting. I said, I don't know anything about it. He says, you just did it. This whole show there was copywriting. And so I took his class and I found out that, whoa, this is important. He got me an internship. Well, he pointed me to an internship opening at the number 5 in the world agency. And the guy said, if Professor K says you're there, if you'll work for $4 an hour, we'll hire you. I said, $4 an hour sounds good.
Yeah. Wow.
And that's how I got my internship. Because in our school, you had to have 4 semesters of work experience paid.
Right.
Or you graduate with a business degree.
Where did you go?
I went to, you ready for the longest college name in history?
I'm ready.
All right, here it is. The Bernard M. Baruch School of Business and Public Administration of the City College of New York, of the City University of New York, of the State University of New York. Try throwing that on a resume.
Did you ever have anybody hire you just on the condition that you never answered that question again?
No, but the truth of the matter is that nobody's hired me for decades. They've become my clients.
Right.
I haven't had a job since 1980 or so.
So you're teaching.
Yeah, I taught 11th and 12th grade high school and junior college. And I taught business subjects, and I taught in the junior college, I taught copywriting.
Okay. You have written some books you alluded to earlier. What's the most recent volume?
Most recent, it came out in January. I'm very proud of it. Because every book I have, I say, well, this is the best I've ever done. So if I write another one, I hope I also feel that. It's called How to Write Copy, Your $1 Million Advantage.
How to Write Copy, Your $1 Million Advantage.
I believe strongly that the ability to use the right words and the right images in the right order is a copywriter's $1 million advantage. And if I can just teach you that in my university, which basically is about a quarter of what we have, but if I could just teach you that, you will be a competent copywriter, maybe even a very good copywriter.
So I'm guessing that a book with all of this in it, you're probably selling that for what, upwards of $5,000–6,000 now?
Oh yeah, I sure am. I sure am. And by the way, you're the first customer in that case.
Okay, you take
No, I take all credit cards.
Okay, well, can't get out of that then. All right.
Here's the deal. I don't even ask people to join the university until they've at least read one of my books. I believe that I want to give you an entree to it. So my books, I call them, my series is $5 books.
$5 books.
This is a $5 book, and it actually comes with a couple of bonuses when you get it. It'll be worth many times what it can do for you. You will make money by reading this book. But if you don't like it, I'll give you your $5 back. I mean, seriously, everything I do And I don't want to speak about me. I'd rather speak about the people that I want to help. But everything that I do to help them, there's this caveat. You will get your money back if you don't like it.
I'm going to take a shot here. I'm guessing you have not had to refund anybody's money.
That is correct so far.
Yeah. So we get the book. We become, at a minimum, competent.
No,
No?
that would be a false.
I beg your pardon.
If you get the book, you will become conversant. You will understand. It will show you certain ways to help your website. It will show you how to write an email. It will show, but it will not go in depth because it's an 82-page book. You know,
Yeah.
when you go into the university, you will find that every step of that book has 2, 3, 4, 5 different supporting guides, videos, even an entire course. In the case of how to write for a website, our course is Radical Web Power, and from what I know, it's the only one around. So, but it'll just turn your whole world around. If you are a copywriter, want to be better, if you are a entrepreneur, business owner who has to write for their business, whether you are a nonprofit who says, well, we don't market. Oh, but you do. It's called outreach, community outreach. And finally, if you have a job, we were talking before we started this rolling that survey upon survey showed that the 2 most valued skills by employers are technical competency in your field, number 1, and number 2, written and oral communication skills, which what we give you in Write Like a Madman University. And just to give you a hint, if you have a job and you go through this, you will be more valuable to your employer, or you will be ready to go on to a higher job. Because if you say, I can write and I can speak and I can communicate, you're in the top 5, 6, 7%. You gotta be. Because this world is chock full of people who talk a lot, which I'm doing, unfortunately, but who can't communicate.
No, that is a fact. You know, it's funny. I had a situation yesterday that reminded me just how true it is when someone once said, everybody is in sales. There may be some exception to that I can't think of, but for the intents and purposes of this conversation, everybody's in sales. We have where I live, we have we heat with a fuel oil furnace, which is ecologically unsound and also our only alternative. It broke, a piece of it broke, and the fella came out to try to fix it, and he did a magnificent job of fixing it. And while we were talking and having what appeared to me to be a very casual conversation about really nothing at all, he had managed to sell me a purchase protection program and all sorts of other things that I'm sure made his employer extraordinarily happy. And it all happened because he knew exactly what he was doing. None of this was really as spontaneous as it seemed. And he was absolutely brilliant. And I told him as he left with a lot more money than he came with, that he could probably get, if he ever got tired of installing controllers on 50-year-old heating systems, that he could probably get a job doing anything he put his mind to. And I still believe that. And again, you and I were sort of talking about this before we began taping.
Yeah, it's fascinating how people instinctively pick up things, and that's where another thing that's really good uh, about people today. They have so many different avenues to express themselves that they get at least some degree of experience in doing so. Back when I was in school and then I went interning, we didn't have a lot of writing experience except for some English course or writing term papers. Today, people are much more conversant and willing to write. Now, if they can just learn how to and how to apply it to their job or their business or their nonprofit, or they can become a copywriter. You know, copywriters are not like a dime a dozen, but good ones are. The average freelancer, this is average, by the way, according to Glassdoor,
All right.
made over $81,000 a year in 2020. Now, imagine what a really good copy, because there are going to be some bad ones in there too. I sometimes troll the some of the sites that, and then guy, and what's your fee? 2 cents a word. What are you, a nut? I mean, I'm not talking to him, but in my head, I'm going, what is wrong with 2 cents a word? You write 10,000 words, and you get how much? Figure it out, Phil.
$500.
No,
No.
no.
50? How much?
$20.
Oh, geez. Yeah. Oh, I guess that's right. Well, that's
1,000 words, $20. It's like 10,000 words, $20. It's like, wow, how could you do that? I write 20 words and get $10,000. There's a difference.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, there is. Tell me the name of the book again.
I'm sorry.
Don't apologize.
It's How to Write Copy, Your $1 Million Advantage. And if you want to get the details on it, just go to I'll give you something that's really easy to figure out. www.milliondolaradvantage.com. www.milliondolaradvantage.com. And it will lay out the whole book. You'll be able to do it. And from there, you can contact me. From there, you can go on and see anything about the university, which is also, by the way, called How to Write Copy at, not at, but
yeah,
at the real word at, Write Like a Madman University. So those are our copywriting and marketing courses.
Alan Tarr. It is always a marvelous experience getting to have you come out and share your expertise with us, and would be delighted to have you up. Go ahead.
I got since you're giving me the old heave ho right now, I want to speak to people out there who may be considering something like this. First, you will be doing yourself one heck of a favor if you just look into it. Go online, look into it. Other people are doing similar things. But if you want to upgrade your skill level and make yourself more marketable, or if you want to be a copywriter, or if you have your business where you have to write, but you're not really good at it, I can make you really good at it. And you will make back multiple times what you spend. And you asked me, how much was it? $5,000 or $6,000? No, less than $1,000. And that's for a whole year. And then here's the kick: you can renew it for $200.
Ooh.
I don't, yeah, because once you've taken the courses 2 or 3 times, you know what you're doing. The rest of the stuff is just there for your edification and your looking up and having things at your fingertips. So we really want to keep it low and cover our costs and all of that kind of stuff. But I am, you see this? This is called silver hair. Okay, I am an older guy. I don't have another act. This is me. This is what I do, and I want to help the next generation come along and understand the fundamentals and how they could really help you in whatever you're doing, as long as it's a business, a nonprofit, a job, or a copywriting career. Okay, it can't help you be a great athlete, but my God, it could help you be a doggone good businessman or woman. So now you can kick me off.
I wish we could talk about this all day. Alan, you're magnificent, and everybody watching would do well to think about what Alan's saying and to go to his website, get the book, and learn something. So, Alan, thank you very kindly, sir. We're going to have you back if you'll be good enough to indulge us. And for right now, we thank you very much for being with us.
Oh no, it's my pleasure. But may I do my corporate duty?
You may.
www.million-dollar-advantage, $5, and it's guaranteed. For 30 days, you can get your money back.
Alan Tarr. He's our man. All right, Alan, thank you very much, sir.
Thanks, Phil.